What's up guys, this is Miasin. So I wanted to revisit the Eldlich deck just because we got a new field spell that is really good in the deck. It's Delta of Temptation. It has 3 effects and all 3 are great. The first one is when this card is activated, you can foolish a level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to the grave. So obviously you send Eldlich the Golden Lord and then you play from there. The other effect is if a zombie monster is on the field, even if it's not on your field, you can summon a Delta token that is a zombie dark level 5, 0 attack, 0 defense. The fact that it is a level 5 dark monster means that using like your Conquistador and Hakuero, you can make a light and dark Chaos Angel, so it really does matter. And finally, if a monsters is added from the graveyard to the hand while this card is in your grave, again, not necessarily have to be your own monster to your own hand. It can be your opponent's monster to like your opponent's hand. You can recycle back the field spell to the hand, so it's just an incredible card. Overall, everything about it is insane. It's a great card going first and second in Eldlich, and I think it will definitely make the deck a little more able to keep up with the other better trap deck out there that is Labyrinth, because honestly, that's probably the reason why people stop playing Eldlich. It's not because Eldlich is a garbage deck. I really don't think that. I actually think there's not even that much of a gap between Eldlich and Labyrinth anymore, but rather just because Labyrinth just grinds better because it gets back the resources from the grave infinitely, whereas Eldlich, you will eventually run out of juice because you are banishing your cards every single time, and you're not really recycling back from the graveyard unless you play like the shit that goes to Emerald Traps, but they're really not worth playing. Anyways, before we go any further, because I will be showing you guys 2 combos or interactions, I guess you can say, smash the like and subscribe button. It really motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these, and let's get right into it. Okay, so I guess for combo number 1, again, not really much of a combo, but more of like an interaction or a nice play that you can do. If you got the field spell, and let's say Conquistador or Hakuero doesn't really change anything, you're gonna be going field spell, Foolish the Golden Lord, and then set your Conquistador, summon back the Eldlich, and then use your field spell, summon the token, link it into a Link Spider or Imduck, and then go into Silhouette Rabbit, and then Rabbit is going to be setting your Conquistador. Yes, Rabbit doesn't have to just set Azarune. Yeah, in this deck, this card is like particularly good. You have way more relevant targets. You got Conquistador and Hakuero, and you also have Apophis the Swamp Deity, which can pretty much always negate something on your opponent's field, even under Skill Drain, because it's not an activated monster effect. It just happens. It's kind of like the virtual worlds. Even under Skill Drain, they will always surge. They will always get what they want, because it basically resolves in the hand. It's hard to explain. Anyways, on the end phase, the Conquistador is getting the Elixir, so you got the good old combo of Scarlet Sanguine as well as Conquistador and the Rabbit, so that's going to be 2 interruptions off of 2 cards and a huge setup that is for sure going to be killing your opponent. So yeah, you got Conquistador and the Scarlet Sanguine, summon the Eldlich, and then destroy a face-up card, and then Rabbit is going to be destroying another card, and obviously you got 3 other cards in your hand, and this is, like I said, a guaranteed OTK next turn. Okay, so this isn't much of like a combo or anything, but rather something that you can do going second against massive boards. I don't have any hand traps or any board breakers really other than Eldlich the Golden Lord, and I can still break this board if my opponent doesn't interact correctly with my cards. Yes, this is just showing you how nasty this card really is, because like I said at the very start of this video, I think I said that, but maybe I forgot, but whatever. This card, even outside of Eldlich, can still be good. Yeah, it really is that incredible, because it can foolish your deck for any level 5 or higher zombie monster. It doesn't have to just be Eldlich the Golden Lord. And there is one other monster in this deck that is super awesome, and you're gonna be seeing this in just a second. But again, it doesn't really work if the opponent interacts with your cards correctly, because if I activate the Delta here, and then I get met by Varutra's Negate or the Escape to Destroy, it's not going to be ideal. But if my opponent is holding the Omni Negate for something else and the Escape for something else, then it's going to work. And I will be foolishing for this card right here, Wandering Titan of Tartarus. And I will trigger its effect, and my opponent cannot respond with Varudras and it reads, if this card is sent from the deck to the graveyard, send as many cards you control as possible to the grave, and if you do special summon this card, then send cards your opponent controls to the graveyard up to the number sent to the graveyard by this effect. So it doesn't target, it doesn't destroy, and neither player can activate monster effects in response to this effect's activation. So if your opponent does not respond to the field spell, it's game over. And then finally, if this card is sent to the graveyard except from the deck, so from the hand, field, etc., you can send 1 card from the hand to the grave and then send 1 card on the field to the grave. And you can only use 1 effect per turn and only once that turn. So essentially, I will be using its effect to send 4 cards on my field to the grave and send an equal amount of cards on my opponent's field to the graveyard, so another 4. And my opponent basically has nothing now, just because he didn't interact with the field spell very specifically. So yeah, this card is basically a board breaker if you don't deal with it. And if you don't, then I'm gonna get rid of everything. And now it's gonna be game over because I can go Eldlich, send another card on the field, transaction, roll back, copy the Scarlet Sanguine, summon another Golden Lord, and then some, well, rather, whatever, set my Hakuero and then send it right away so I can summon the other Eldlich, and then recycle back my field spell. And this is gonna be enough to kill my opponent. This is like 25, 35, 26. Game over. I don't even have to make Gustav Max. I don't play into Nibiru because I only summon 3 times. So I can OTK through a massive board and a couple of useless hand traps just because my opponent kind of misplayed against me because he didn't know that I could send a nasty zombie monster off of the field spell. So yeah, very terrifying card. This card, you absolutely have to deal with it as soon as you see it because otherwise it will completely pick apart your board. Okay, so for the deck profile, I am only playing 2 Eldlich the Golden Lord because I wanted to play the Wandering Titan of Tartarus in the main deck. And I don't think you need 3 Eldlich because even if you get banished on your Eldlich, you can still go for your Flying Mary, the Wandering Ghost Ship, and then you take it from the banished and then you place it in your spell and trap zone. And you can special summon it as well, and you can loop it back with the Scarlet Sanguine, so it really doesn't matter. 2 should be enough. And yeah, 1 Wandering Titan, so going second, your deck is going to be absolutely nasty. This is a zombie monster, so if you already control Eldlich, at least you can summon that with the Scarlet Sanguine, and if it dies, then you can send a card on the field to the graveyard by sending 1 card from your hand to the grave. So honestly, everything about it is absolutely insane. Unfortunately, it's a level 9 monster, not a level 10, so you cannot make Gustav Max with it, but it's not really the end of the world. At 3 field spell, obviously this card is what made this deck like that much better. I'm really not joking when I say that this card is incredible for Eldlich. It's fantastic support, really a big fan of it. And yeah, obviously 3 Scarlet Sanguine, 3 Conquistador, only 2 Hakuero. I really wanted to fit in as many other good cards in my deck as possible. And then 3 Morella, because I wanted to send some trap cards from my deck to the grave. And there are a lot of really good ones to send. You can send the Scarlet Sanguine, you can send Conquistador, Hakuero, or if you need more interruptions, you can send Transaction Rollback or Black Gold Laughs, and then you can start copying your other cards. So you can copy like a Karma Cannon, for example, which is absolutely nasty, and then 3 Trap Trick because this one gets you to anything that you want. You can't really play the Super Equation Cannon unless you play like no cards that your Eldlich deck can really summon, which is unfortunate. So I don't know if I really recommend it. Anyways, the one up off is the Sun Deity, so I can negate like Evenly Matched, Lightning Storm, Duster, etc. when there can only be 1, because I'm fine with only controlling 1 monster. Rivalry, obviously I only can play zombie monsters. So if you have 1, there can only be 1, and 1 Rivalry, and you got like Eldlich on the field, then you pretty much win. And either way, you can turn off these floodgates at any moment if you're sick and tired of them. And obviously Skill Drain, which does not affect you negatively whatsoever. Yeah, you're still playing like pretty much the best deck under Skill Drain, and you can still pop cards with like Conquistador and banish cards with Hakuero, because again, they do not like resolve as activated effects on the field. And obviously 3 Solemn Strike, 2 Ice Dragon's Prison, and the most interesting cards in the main deck would be Soul of the Supreme King, so I can summon the Zark and then turn it into the other 4 kind of dragon monsters. Huge shoutouts to Maximilian Kraut, by the way, for this engine. I really took inspiration off of his Labyrinth deck in order to create this. Same thing with the Morella and Transaction Rollback and Black Gold Laughs. Yeah, this is almost a Labyrinth deck, but instead of having Labyrinth cards as my engine cards, I have Eldlich cards. The Ledger's Book, the reason why it's so good is because as a board breaker, it's always gonna force your opponent to use like an interaction against it. Targets up to 2 monsters your opponent controls and then banish them until the end phase. So it's pretty much like a double SP. It's a nice card overall. Or you can play Compose over that. For the extra deck, I am playing the 1 Odd Eyes Arcrate Dragon. That is in case you summon Zark and it's about to die, you just summon this on top and it's gonna survive, but it doesn't really do much of anything. 1 Fusion Dragon, 1 Pendulum Dragon, 1 Xyz, and 1 Synchro Dragon. You can play Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon instead. You don't have to play Crystal Clear Wing. Crystal Wing negates a monster effect, and this one negates a spell or trap card. So I guess it's up to you which one you think is better. And then the Xyz Dragon doesn't do much of anything. And the Fusion Dragon is literally a 3600 attack beat stick. The Pendulum Dragon is actually really good against you, Bell. It's pretty much a skill drain against them. And also it prevents like Ash and Bell from being used. Any monster with 0 attack cannot really activate itself. I mean, they can, but they get negated. So yeah, it's a really good card. And also, it becomes... No, never mind. It has to be Fusion Summoned for that effect. Yes, okay, but it's completely irrelevant. The reason... the way you are summoning these 4 dragons is if you control Zark, and then your opponent activates a spell while you have Soul of the Supreme King in your graveyard. You just banish it, and then you summon your 4 dragons from the hand deck or extra deck. So in other words, from the extra deck. There you go. And then you pretty much kill your opponent because that is... 12,600 damage. Yeah, that's a lot. Anyways, the Chaos Angel, obviously, because of the field spell token, level 5 Dark, and then your Conquistador and Hakuero. The Typhon, the Juggernaut Lebe, and the Gustav Max, because you use 2 Golden Lords. You do 25, 35, and then an extra 2k, so if you summon 2 Golden Lords, that's usually game. Or you can just go for like the 1-punch OTK with Juggernaut Lebe, that's also pretty solid. But honestly, you don't necessarily have to play that card. It's less needed than Lebe. And then obviously play these using your 2 tokens. You can make play these and then bounce back your own cards. And then you can use them again. I don't know. There's a lot of cool things that you can do. Or obviously use it as an interruption and you bounce back your opponent's cards. SP, and then the Rabbit. Flying Mary, the Wandering Ghost Ship. Really cool card that has a lot of nice effects. So I really recommend checking it out if you're trying to play Eldlich. And it's also relatively new. I think it came out in Rage of the Abyss. And finally Link Spider, obviously, because of your Conquistador and Hakuero, and because of the token that you summon off of Delta of Temptation. This is nothing new though, people have been playing this card in Eldlich for a hot minute. For the side deck, because this is the one deck where I don't really think I need like an idea section, the side deck usually in this deck is always very streamlined. And this deck has the exact same side deck patterns as a deck like Labyrinth, for example. So you can play 3 Lord of the Heavenly Prison and 3 Solemn Judgment for when you're going first. These are the only going first cards you will ever need. But you can also look into playing like Pot of Extravagance and Inspector Border. They're pretty solid, honestly, so I recommend if you really want to try something out. And then for the going second cards, again, we don't change a winning formula. So Lava Golem, Sphere Mode, and Evenly Matched. You don't really need anything else just because these cards are really that great. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know how you feel about Eldlich with the new support in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.